Hey, welcome back. Today we're jumping into a really powerful concept for all you writers out there, and it comes from the N-Style Scenario Guidebook. It's this fascinating idea, right? It's all about how you can actually get more control over your story by learning when to let go. Sounds a little weird, I know, but stick with me. Let's dive in.
So, the guidebook kicks things off with this incredibly strong statement. It basically says that once you've done all your prep work, you, the writer, are given total, absolute authority over the world you're building. You are essentially the god of your own universe. And we're not talking about a little bit of power here. No, this is absolute power. As the creator, you are literally pulling every single string, making every single choice that gives shape to this world that you've built from nothing.
I mean, just think about how huge that is for a second. You get to decide what your characters do, every word they say, every single event that happens to them. And in the end, you decide what the whole thing even means. It's all in your hands. But you know how it goes. This kind of godlike power isn't a free-for-all. It comes with a huge obligation. And this is where things start to get really, really interesting. The guidebook argues that your biggest responsibility, it's to the story itself. Okay, so let's dig into that responsibility. It all centers on this one key idea the book calls the story's unique order. Think of it as the internal logic, kind of like the laws of physics for the universe you just created. So what exactly is this order? Well, it's the set of rules you establish from the very beginning. It's the reason why magic works a certain way in your fantasy world, or why a specific character would just never betray their best friend. You're the one who creates this order, and it's what makes your world feel consistent and real.
And this is why it's so important. The guidebook uses this fantastic metaphor of a gear. That internal order you created, that's the engine. It's the gear that gives your story momentum and actually lets it move forward in a way that feels believable and compelling.
So this leads us to what you might call the creator's paradox. It's this central conflict every writer faces. On one hand, you have all the power, but on the other, you're actually bound by the very rules that you yourself created. And this lays it out perfectly. Look, on one side, you have the total power to decide anything and everything. But on the other side, you have this deep responsibility not to break the order you established. You can't just have a character do something completely out of character just because it would be convenient for the plot, right? And here's the bottom line. If you violate that internal logic, you shatter the story's integrity. That gear we talked about, it just grinds to a halt. Your audience loses trust, the world feels fake, and the whole thing can just fall apart. Okay, so if you've built this world with its own rules, and you can't just jump in and interfere with those rules, what are you supposed to do? This is where the guidebook suggests a pretty radical shift in how you see your own role as a writer. Let's just ask the question directly. If your hands are tied by the very rules you wrote into existence, how on earth are you supposed to guide your story to the finish line? And the answer is actually a huge shift in perspective. You have to move from being this active, hands-on puppeteer to being a silent observer. You have to learn to just step back and watch your creation unfold according to the very logic that you already put in place. Because when you do that, when you adopt this observer mindset, something pretty incredible starts to happen. Your story begins to take on a life of its own. It starts to feel like this independent living thing. The guidebook uses this really beautiful word for it, trust. It's like by respecting the story's order and just watching it play out, the different parts of your story, the characters, the plot points, they start to trust you. And they begin to work the way they were always meant to, all on their own. It's almost like a chain reaction, you know? First, you step back and you become an observer. Then, that act of respect earns the trust of your story's elements, and they start to function naturally. And finally, with that trust and integrity, the story finds its own strength to carry itself all the way to the end. And this is the real payoff. It's not just for the story, it's for you. By maintaining this order, you, the writer, also find the strength to get through that long, difficult journey of writing. It's like you and the story are partners, helping each other get to the final page. So we'll leave you with this question to chew on. When it comes to your own work, to really make your story come alive, are you trying to be its all-powerful creator, or are you learning to become its most dedicated observer? Something to think about.